I've heard her call her fat girl as she was putting her in my car. I have heard her refer to her as a nerd with the glasses. I've heard fat girls a couple of times.
And how long have you been a certified police officer for?
Approximately a little over 4 years.
Okay. And in regards to becoming a certified police officer, did that require special education and training?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Can you tell us what that special education and training was?
I had to go through the police academy, which began on January 9th, and then I believe I graduated August 20th. So it was a fairly long police academy with specialized training in various different topics.
And are you current on your continuing education requirements?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, were you working for Amarillo Police Department on January 30th of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you respond to a call out involving a lady named Alayla Holman?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell me what the nature of that call out was?
Just without looking at my report, it was just a physical disturbance. I believe there was a weapon involved per the caller.
Okay. And do you have your report available to you?
I do.
Okay, great. Your Honor, I believe I've circulated this report previously to the attorneys, but I can recirculate that if they need it.
Anybody want it?
You email it to me. I don't think I got it.
Okay, it would have been at the beginning of the case, not right now.
Oh, okay.
Teresa, if you could send it to me too, please. I wasn't involved in the beginning of the case. Thank you.
Okay, Your Honor, I apologize. Give me 2 minutes and I'll get that done.
All right, why don't you send it to me too?
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Brittany, just send it directly to my email.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I continue questioning Officer Brookshire?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Officer Brookshire, when you arrived on the premises, who did you first see standing outside?
Layla, I believe is how the name is pronounced.
Okay. And was there a child present as well?
Yes, Layla was holding Jazea wrapped in a blanket.
Okay. And while you were there, was there any sort of verbal altercation again?
Yes, ma'am, between Amia and Layla.
And were they yelling at each other?
At times, I recall that they did.
Okay. And what statements did Alayla make about why the police were called?
I don't recall specifically. In looking at my report, I did have that Alayla denied all physical violence between her and Amia.
Okay, but did she go on to say more? And let me rephrase. What did she state about a window being broken?
Layla stated that she and Amia were arguing and that Amia had broken a window before throwing something towards her.
Did you find Alayla to be cooperative during your conversations with her?
Overall, neither party was cooperative. They refused to say a whole lot or fill out any kind of statements.
Okay. And did you offer to transport one of them to a different location?
Yes, to try to separate them to prevent any kind of further altercation from occurring that night.
And was that refused?
It was.
Okay. And did they confirm that Jazea was in the home during the altercation?
Yeah, I put that. Yeah, in my report, to the best of my understanding, Jazea was in the home and asleep during the altercation between the two.
And as well, your report reflects that no arrests were made that night. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I pass the witness.
Ms. Grant?
No questions, Judge.
Ms. Lucero?
No questions.
Ms. Oscarson?
No questions.
Ms. Wiggins?
No question.
All right, anything further, Ms. Gutierrez of Officer Brookshire?
No, Your Honor.
All right. May he be excused? Anyone object?
No.
Objection.
All right, Officer Brookshire, I'll release you so you can go about your day's business. Thank you for your testimony and thank you for your service.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
The department next calls Tyson Aldridge as its witness.
All right.
And for reference on the IRs sent out for, because he'll probably be refreshing his memory from that, it's the one ending in 8694. And Your Honor, again, I don't intend to offer this as evidence.
Okay.
The actual document, I mean.
All righty. Is this also an officer?
Yes, Your Honor.
Officer Aldridge, this is Judge Graham. If you'd unmute, please.
How's that?
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. If you would, please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gutierrez. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Does he have video available?
I don't know. Officer Aldridge, do you have video?
There should be body camera video.
No, I mean, for your testimony. We can't see you. We just can hear you.
Sorry.
There we go. All right, now we do. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Aldridge, is that your correct rank and title?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Are you a certified police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you work for?
The Amarillo Police Department.
How long have you worked for Amarillo Police Department?
Just over 3 years.
And becoming a certified police officer requires special education and training.
Yes.
And what was that special education and training for you?
That was an eight-month academy. It's basically classwork and then practical training. And then after the academy, you have approximately a 2 to 3 month FTO training phase, which is hands-on field training with another training officer.
And are you current on your continuing education requirements?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you working for APD on May 28th of 2023?
Yes.
Okay. And did you receive a call out involving a Layla Hallman?
Yes, ma'am.
What was that call out for?
It was a domestic disturbance. They didn't really give too much detail. It was apparent that there was possibly an assault that occurred. And then we showed up.
Okay. So when you arrived, did you speak with Layla Holman?
Yes.
And was there a child present?
Yes.
And was that child Josiah Holman?
Yes.
And what did Layla explain had happened?
She explained that she had gotten into an argument with a couple of people that were present. I believe it was over one of her deceased friends or something of that nature. She said that it irritated her, and then the physical altercation happened shortly thereafter.
Okay. And what were the details of the physical altercation that she provided?
I believe she said that she was thrown into a wall by Jeremiah, and then I believe she was punched.
Okay. And if your incident report reflects that she stated Amaya approached her and slapped her with the open hand on her cheek, would that be correct?
Yes.
And as well, if your incident report indicated that Jeremiah grabbed Layla by the throat when slamming her on the wall, would that be correct as well?
Yes.
Did Ms. Holman admit, or rather, what did Ms. Holman admit regarding alcohol that night?
She said she'd been drinking.
Okay. And did you find Ms. Holman cooperative during your interview of her?
She was semi-cooperative. I wouldn't say like fully cooperative. But yeah, she was. She at least spoke to us and told her side of the story.
Let's see here. Did she, in your report, it doesn't indicate that she stated where Josiah was during that incident. Is that correct?
Correct.
But she was physically present when you arrived. Is that correct?
Yes, she was holding her.
All right, pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Grant.
No questions.
Ms. Lucero,
No questions.
Ms. Oscarson,
No questions.
Ms. Wiggins.
Officer Aldridge, when you talked to other individuals at the scene, did it appear that Ms. Holman was possibly the aggressor in the situation?
Yes, there were conflicting stories. Their side of the story was she was the aggressor.
And did you see evidence of injuries on other people they said were caused by Ms. Holman?
Yes, I believe Mr. Collins had injuries, if I remember correctly.
Now, in regards to the child that she was holding, did the child appear to be about 2 years old or a little younger?
Yeah, I'd say it was a young child for sure.
Okay. And how was the child? Was the child crying, calm?
I don't exactly remember that.
Okay. All right. And at approximately what time were you dispatched to the location?
It was after midnight for sure. I'm not exactly sure on the time.
Okay. If your report said 1:40 a.m., would you have any reason to doubt that?
That would be exact then.
Okay. And in regards to that time, was that, from your understanding, in close proximity to when the assault happened?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing further, Judge.
All right, thank you. Officer Aldridge, you said that Ms. Holman admitted she'd been drinking. Based on your training, did she appear to be intoxicated?
Yes.
Did any of the other people involved in the incident, did they appear to have been drinking and intoxicated also?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else have further questions for Officer Aldridge?
No, Your Honor.
Yeah. Who
I
does?
have one, Judge.
Go ahead.
Officer, did the level of intoxication not give you concern to remove the children?
No, not at the time.
Pass the witness, Judge.
All right. Anyone else?
I have a question, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
At the time of this incident, was Layla Holman under 21 years of age?
I'm not totally sure. I'm sorry about that.
Did you say that? What was the date of this incident?
Are you asking me? Sorry.
Yes, sir.
I believe it was May 28th,
Of what year?
2023.
And what's the date of Miss Layla Holman? Is that in your report? I'm sorry, the date of birth of Miss Layla Holman.
Yes. It is 1603.
Okay, so does it appear that at that time she would have been 20 years old?
Yes.
And what is the age in Texas in which a person can legally consume alcohol?
21.
All right, so was she under the legal drinking age at the time of this incident?
Yes.
Were there any arrests as a result of this incident?
No.
No further questions.
Anyone else?
Judge, can I confirm that I heard the date of the incident and the birth date correctly?
Sure.
Could you repeat the date of the incident, sir?
May 28th, 2023
And her date of birth?
is January 6th, 2003.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Further questions for Officer Aldridge? All right. Maybe he'd be excused.
No objection.
No objection.
All right.
No.
Officer Aldridge, I'll remove you so you can go about your day's business. Thank you for your testimony and thank you for your service.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge.
Uh-huh.
Your Honor, is Officer Joshua Jenkins in the waiting room? If not, I'll move on to my next witness.
No, ma'am. I don't have a Joshua.
Okay, let me see here. Just a second, Your Honor. Let's call the department next calls Delois Hinders.
Right. Ms. Hinders, this is Judge Graham. If you'd unmute, please. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Oh, you muted again.
Is that okay?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay. Thank you. If you'd raise your right hand, please. You swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Delois, what is your profession?
I am a licensed professional counselor in private practice. I'm also a registered play therapist supervisor.
Okay. And did that require special education and training?
Yes.
Can you tell us about your special education and training?
I have a master's degree in professional counseling. I have additional training as a registered play therapist, which is quite a rigorous credential to obtain. It involves extensive education, hundreds of hours, and supervised practice before obtaining that one.
And are you the therapist for Josiah Holman?
Yes.
When did you start working with Josiah?
Josiah first came to me in late October of 2023.
And are you still currently treating her?
Yes, there was a brief period of time where she was doing relatively well for about 3 months that I didn't see her, but for the most part, except for that 3-month period, I've been seeing her weekly to every other week.
And at the beginning, what was the goal, or what were you working with Josiah to help her with?
She was having quite a bit of difficulty separating from her foster mother to go to daycare. And she was having a lot of behavior. She was anxious. She was hitting herself, having tantrums, which seemed to be excessive and beyond the scope of what we would typically expect for somebody of her age.
Okay. And in your expertise and education, what does that indicate about a child when they are demonstrating those kind of anxious, self-harmful behaviors?
Well, she certainly seemed to appear to have some level of developmental trauma, which would be expected with a child that age or of any age who has come into the foster care system.
And is that typically associated with trauma?
Developmental trauma would imply trauma of some sort, abuse, neglect happening in the very early stages of development, sometime in the first year and beyond.
Okay.
Right.
Now, how the anxiety manifest? How has that changed since the beginning of her treatment?
In the beginning, she couldn't separate from her caregiver without extreme distress, from her foster parent without extreme distress for the first several sessions. Her foster mother needed to be present almost the entire time the first time, and then with each subsequent session, less and less we were able to fade her foster mother out so that she could come in to the playroom. She needed to check back with her foster mom on several occasions to make sure that she was still out there waiting for her. Also, she was fearful of certain toys in the playroom, rubber snakes, rubber spiders, which were obviously toys. And then there also appeared to be quite a bit of food anxiety and feeling as if she always has access to something to eat or something to drink. So there was a lot of anxiety. It appeared in her play around there being enough to eat and drink in the beginning.
Okay. And further into her treatment, I believe, was there also something noted for dysregulation by you?
Right. And that just means that, all children that age have temper tantrums, but a child who doesn't have developmental trauma will generally be able to co-regulate with a primary caregiver within a reasonable amount of time. And this was something that she was struggling with the extended fits that would sometimes, culminate in her injuring herself. They would be prolonged. She would be difficult to console. So those were issues in the beginning that she was having.
And those issues at the beginning, in your professional opinion, could they be caused by exposure to domestic violence?
Yes.
And is it your understanding in the history of the case that there was domestic violence in the home that Josiah was raised in?
I actually didn't receive much information about what Josiah had been exposed to, and that's not uncommon when a child comes in at 2 or 3 and they can't be their own historians about those types of things. Oftentimes, unless I have a biological parent that tells me what the child has been exposed to, it's presumption.
Okay. Now, what have you observed in regards to her relationship with her foster mother?
Well, her foster mother is certainly her preferred person. That's her go-to person. I think, my impression is that everybody else she tolerates, they're not the foster mom. Even periodically, sometimes the foster mother isn't able to bring her. So sometimes her mother will bring her, and Josiah will tolerate me and like me at times, but her foster mom is her preferred person. That's the person that she's become attached to strongly.
Let me interrupt just so the record's clear. The foster mom, are we referring to the intervenor, Casey McDaniel?
Casey McDaniel, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Gutierrez.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Ms. Henders, I believe you referred to as mom bringing her to your office. Are you referring to Ms. McDaniels at that point?
Yes.
How has that dysregulation improved, or are y'all still working on that?
It's not uncommon in the first several years for children to go through a period of integration and disintegration, meaning they will do fine for a while, and then because of changes taking place in the brain and within their body, they'll kind of fall apart for a while, and then they'll reintegrate and do well for a while. And so that's certainly, I've noticed that in Josiah. She was doing quite well, for after the initial seemed like she was improving and getting better for several months, but then over the summertime it seemed like she was having difficulty, or after the summertime, she seemed to have difficulty. And so she started coming back and then started to smooth out. I haven't seen her since before the holidays, but it seemed like, to me, it seemed like December was a rougher month for her, or more of a period of disintegration. And that possibly could have just been due to the month of December is overstimulating for many children. And so I haven't seen her since then, but I wondered if it wasn't due to just a lot going on in December.
Okay. Now, considering Josiah's struggle, how important is a stable environment for her?
stability, predictability, and certainly I've seen Ms. McDaniel have to reassure her that there's a snack in the car waiting for you when we get done with the session. Here's your bottle of water. We're going to daycare next or to school next. And so for her in particular, for all children, structure, they thrive with structure, but for Josiah in particular, it seems to help.
And hypothetically, if she were to be returned to a home or to be in any home where there was alcohol abuse, would that compromise her safety?
Yes.
And if she were returned to a home in which there was frequent arrest or domestic violence, would that compromise the safety of the child as well?
Yes.
So I understand you can't give a direct opinion on where a child should be, but in your opinion, is it best that she be in a safe and stable environment with predictable and stable adults?
Yes. I think even just the disruption of the month of December had an effect on her. And that's just normal disruption because, there are parties at school, schedules are changed due to this and that. Sometimes there's company coming in, going out of town, and that's predictable. So those are within the realm of, predictable types of disruption, but certainly chaos, turmoil, those would be devastating to this child.
As a witness?
Ms. Grant?
Ms. Henders, have you observed any family members of the child with her?
Biological family members?
Yes, ma'am.
No, I have not.
Are you aware that there is biological family wanting to be involved with this child?
I recall a conversation, very brief conversation with Ms. McDaniel, and that might have been a month or so ago, where that might be a possibility, but I don't know anything beyond that.
Is it good for children to have family connections if it's possible?
Yes.
And is it possible to transition children back to family members once they've been in foster care?
Yes.
Would that be a possibility for Josiah at some point?
I don't know, only just because I know her and what she needs. I don't know. I don't know the environment that she would be going into.
So you would need more information. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
And you'd need that information specific to this child and her current situation, correct?
Yes.
Would you be willing to observe interactions with biological family members in a therapeutic setting if it could begin?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to relevance.
Overruled. You can answer, Ms. Henders.
I'm not opposed to it. I'd have to give it some thought. I've got a pretty full schedule, but I'm not opposed to that if that's what the court orders.
Okay, so it would be scheduling questions for you, not necessarily whether you're willing or not. It's a scheduling issue. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And if family members out of state, you'd be willing to work scheduling with them if they contacted you if the court ordered?
What I'm perceiving is a situation where, and I don't know that that's the case, but this all would be very difficult to do over Zoom if that's what we're talking about.
Understand.
Yes, and I don't even know that anything useful could come out of something over Zoom in this type of intervention.
So it would be your recommendation that it be physical visits if it were to occur?
Yes.
Thank you. Pass the witness, Judge.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lucero.
Ms. Henders, in your experience, have you ever had a situation to where family members come into the picture and then you provide therapeutic in-person visits?
Yes.
Your Honor, I object to relevance and speculation.
Overruled.
So, Ms. Henders, in those types of visits, when family members are brought in and reintroduced to the child, have you seen situations where the child has been able to bond with those family members?
Yes, but we would be talking once or twice a week for some time, and we're just talking an hour. It would require time. Yeah.
Okay, it requires time.
Quality of interaction. You can't really do that over Zoom. It needs to be in person. Yes.
But if it's in person, it is possible, correct?
It is possible. Yes.
And you testified earlier that you believe that it is beneficial if it's a good relationship for the child to have contact or to be around family members, correct?
Yes.
All right, I'll pass the witness.
Thank you, Ms. Oscarson.
Ms. Henders, you testified about a gap in your treatment of Josiah when she seemed to be doing very well, and then she returned back to weekly visits. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes.
Are you aware that the biological mother had been incarcerated and that when she was released from jail, visits restarted with Josiah?
No.
So are you unaware that once Josiah became dysregulated again, it was when she was having supervised visits with her mom?
Objection. It calls for facts, not evidence.
Overrule. You can answer this.
Right. There may have been some conversation. Again, when I see Josiah, my time is spent mostly with her. I might have a brief word or two. And so I might have been provided an update. I don't recall. But I certainly don't have anything in my notes drawing parallels between those two, between the dates and period when she was doing well and then when she became dysregulated again.
Understanding that evidence may or may not come in later, would you expect a child to become dysregulated again once she's exposed to a parent who may have abused or neglected her?
Yes.
Now, you testified that you observed food anxiety through Josiah's play. Did I understand your testimony correctly?
Objection.
Yes.
That mischaracterizes the testimony. The words food anxiety were not used.
I heard food anxiety, so overrule.
I would draw the objection.
Okay. Yes.
Based on your training, education, and experience, what causes a child to exhibit food anxiety through play?
It would be a fear that it's not going to be readily available when needed.
All right, guys, buckle up because the case opens with something that instantly raises eyebrows. A witness calmly recalls hearing a child being called names like fat girl and even mocked as a nerd with glasses. These aren't just random insults. When adults direct language like this toward a child, it often signals a deeper problem inside the home. The tone here may sound casual, but the implications are anything but small. In family cases, the smallest details about how a child is spoken to can reveal a lot about the environment they are growing up in. Right away, the court is hearing testimony that hints at emotional harm. And when comments like these become routine, they can leave lasting marks on a child's confidence and sense of safety. This brief moment sets the emotional stage for everything that follows.
Food, you mean?
Exactly, food or drink, because there was quite a bit of needing liquid too. That was as important as the food, if not more so. Something to drink.
Is part of what you do in your sessions with Josiah is to teach her coping strategies and self-soothing and the ability to calm herself?
It's not teaching in a didactic form like a classroom. It's more experiential and it's in vivo. And so for example, as she gets to doing something and she becomes dysregulated, I'll pick up on that and we'll kind of work on calming down a little bit and then going back up. But it's not teaching in a didactic manner, if that makes sense.
Is it more modeling?
It's more co-regulation, I suppose, right? Modeling, I guess, but more co-regulation, and allowing her to expand a little bit out of her comfort zone. Because if she's always within a window of tolerance, then she's not learning how to deal with feelings outside of a window of tolerance. So it's allowing a little bit of expansion, but not so much so that she becomes completely dysregulated. So it's difficult to explain, but more co-regulation, I would think, than modeling.
So outside the therapy session, what kind of adults, what is the demeanor of an adult that Josiah needs to be around considering her past trauma?
She needs to be around someone who's calm much of the time and who is predictable and who can flow with her, meet her where she is, and then once she meets her where she is, then bring her to where she needs to be. That's what the co-regulation is, because children aren't born knowing how to regulate themselves. They're first entirely regulated by a primary caregiver under optimal situations, then they learn to co-regulate with the caregiver, and then after that they learn to regulate on their own. But they can't regulate on their own if they've never been at first regulated by somebody else and then co-regulated with somebody. And so that's what I see in my interactions with Miss McDaniel, because Josiah is prone to an immediate tantrum over the way that her shoes feel on her feet, or not having this or not having that. And so a caregiver has to be pretty regulated to begin with to be able to meet a child in that state calm them in the moment, and then bring them up to a more regulated state.
All right, guys, before the court dives deeper into the accusations, the focus shifts to something extremely
It's making
important,
progress
credibility.
in internalizing
The officer on the
a
stand
permanent person
explains his
inside of
training,
her,
detailing months spent in the police
that she
academy and the
knows will be
continuing
there and will be
education
available
required
even
to
if she's
stay
not within
certified.
direct
It
sight of
may
her.
sound procedural, but this step is crucial.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
Courts don't just
Anyone
accept
else?
statements at face
One
value.
more, Your
They
Honor.
want to establish that the
Ms. Hinders,
person
can
giving
those type of
testimony has
attachments
the
be,
knowledge and professional
grown
training
and
to
nurtured with
interpret
other
what they
people as
witnessed.
well as
By
therapy?
laying out his background, the officer is essentially showing the court that his observations carry weight. Every answer builds a foundation of trust, making it clear that what he says next about the incident will come from trained judgment rather than guesswork.
Have you observed Ms. McDaniel's ability to do that?
Yes, she does that quite well. Mhm.
Based on what you have observed in play therapy, is it your opinion that Giselle was not in an environment with caregivers who were able to help her co-regulate prior to her removal?
She certainly.
Objection. She testified that she's never observed Josiah with any other person.
Ms. Hinders, if it would be speculation, then you can't answer that.
She did not come to me with any signs that she could co-regulate. Right. That she had learned that before.
That she had not learned that before. Is that what you
That's
say?
right. That's right.
I pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Ms. Wiggins.
Now, Ms. Hinders, you talked a little bit about the child, I guess, not doing well potentially on Zoom calls. Is that correct?
Yes.
If she was introduced to a new person on a Zoom call, would that be beneficial to the child or harmful to the child?
I'm sure it would be confusing to the child and to this particular child, and she's not going to maintain interest for more than a minute or two, is my prediction.
So there would be no benefit in introducing someone via Zoom for the
Objection. Speculation.
Let her ask her question first. Go ahead, Ms. Wiggins.
based on your training and experience with, and specifically dealing with this child, given her past history, would it be beneficial to introduce a new person to this child via Zoom?
There's not going to be a bond that's going to be built over Zoom. Somebody over Zoom could be somebody on the TV to her, and she's not going to really understand the difference. She can't build a bond with somebody over Zoom.
And would it be potentially harmful to introduce someone to a child and then suddenly take them away? And I guess I'll rephrase. Would it be more beneficial with a child who's having regulation issues to have consistent people in her life?
Yes.
And so if someone could potentially be an inconsistent person, would that be a benefit to the child?
I'm not understanding your question.
So if the child was introduced to someone and then that person went from her life, would that be more harmful, or should she be focusing on more consistent individuals?
Well, I think it would be dependent on the strength of the bond that she had with that person. I would imagine that people kind of come and go in Josiah's life. If this were somebody she had a strong attachment to that she no longer had access to, that would be difficult for her. And if she thought that this was a person that was taking her away from stability, that would be difficult for her.
And just to clarify, she is 3.5 years old. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the foster mother or placement has had her since July of 2023. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so would you say that the child has created a very strong attachment to placement?
Yes.
And in regards to, let's see, you said that once or twice a week, a transition to a family would have to be very intense. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you said once or twice a week how long are we talking for a child that's 3.5?
I don't know. It depends on the child.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have follow-ups for Ms. Hinders?
All right, guys, now the testimony begins moving toward the heart of the situation. The officer confirms that he responded to a call involving Alila Holman, and the nature of that call was a domestic disturbance. Even more concerning, there were reports that a weapon might have been involved. Domestic calls like these are some of the most unpredictable situations officers face, because emotions are already running high before police even arrive. What stands out here is how routine the officer's response sounds, almost as if incidents like this aren't unusual. Yet behind those calm words lies the suggestion of chaos inside the home. The court is slowly uncovering the first layer of what may have been happening behind closed doors.
Just one, Judge.
Go ahead.
Ms. Hinders, are you aware of the order in which CPS is likely to consider permanency for a child, be it with biological parents, family members, or unrelated adoption?
I don't think so.
Pass the witness.
Anyone else? Ms.
I have a question,
Oscarson?
Your Honor. Based on what you have observed with Josiah and with Ms. McDaniel, in your opinion, would it be harmful to Josiah to remove her from Ms. McDaniel's care?
Objection, Your Honor. This witness cannot testify as to possession and access of child.
Ms. Sanders, that's your call. That's a professional call. If you professionally can't answer it, then don't answer it.
What I would say is that with her foster mother, for the most part, she has seemed to move from a very insecure attachment pattern to a more secure attachment pattern, meaning she has an internalized sense of her foster mother and is getting to the place in the very beginning. If she didn't have access to her, she didn't exist, and that was terrifying. And now she's able to separate because she knows most of the time she knows that her foster mother is going to be available to her. She's going to come back. She's going to be available to her. And so this child has developmental trauma. So I'm not saying that has a secure attachment, but she's getting there. She's making progress and internalizing a permanent person inside of her that she knows will be there and will be available even if she's not within direct sight of her.
Thank you. Pass the witness.
All right. Anyone else?
One more, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Ms. Hinders, can those type of attachments be grown and nurtured with other people as well as therapy develops with this child?
Yes.
So you're not testifying that the foster mother is the only person that this child can ever be attached to. Is that true?
True. Correct.
Pass the witness.
All right. Anyone else? All right. May Ms. Sanders be excused.
You may, Your
No
Honor.
objection.
All right, Ms. Sanders, thank you for your testimony. I'll
Yes.
remove you so you can go about your day's business.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. All right, Ms. Gutierrez, next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The department next calls Alexis Valenzuela as its witness.
All right. Ms. Valenzuela, this is Judge Graham. If you'd unmute, please. Thank you, ma'am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can y'all hear me?
I can barely hear you.
Okay. Is that better?
That's better.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. If you'd raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Before I start questioning Ms. Valenzuela, I would like to offer petitioner's exhibit number 24. It is a incident report done by a certified police officer, and it is from a report on, looks like July 14th of 2023.
Okay, objections?
All right, guys, as the questioning continues, the details of that night begin to come into focus. The officer describes arriving at the scene and finding Alila outside with a child wrapped in a blanket. There had been a heated argument, voices raised, and according to statements given at the time, a window had even been broken during the conflict. The situation was tense enough that the officer offered to separate the people involved to prevent things from escalating further. But both parties refused to cooperate fully. What makes this moment even more concerning is that the child was reportedly inside the home during the altercation. Even if the child was asleep, the presence of violence or shouting in the household can create an atmosphere of fear that lingers far beyond the moment itself.
No objection.
All right, petitioner's
No
24.
objection.
Petitioner's 24 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Alexis, who do you work for?
I work for the Department of Family and Protective Services.
And what do you do for them?
I'm an investigator with the department.
And how long have you been with the department for?
Just over 3.5 years.
And were you working for them in August of 2023?
I was.
And I'm actually going to backtrack a little bit. It was during the year, all of 2023, you worked for them, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. And did you receive an intake regarding a Layla Holman?
I did.
What was the date of that intake
June 2nd.
of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what is the name of the child that was involved in that intake?
Josiah Holman.
And was her date of birth, or is her date of birth, August 29th of 2021?
Yes.
And at the time of that intake, had Ms. Holman identified the father?
I had an alleged father, yes.
Okay, who was the alleged father?
Isaiah Cabello.
All right. So what were those intake allegations specifically?
The intake allegations that we received were concerns of domestic violence and heavy alcohol use. There was also concerns with the living conditions that Alayla was residing in with Josiah.
And regarding the domestic violence, did that intake identify the person they were alleging the domestic violence was with?
Yes, it was between Alayla and Amia Holman.
And is Amia Ms. Holman's sister?
Yes.
Great. Now, based on receiving that intake, did you start your investigation?
I did. I was called out that same night.
Okay. And did you make attempts to contact the child through her mother?
I did.
And it looks like, per your affidavit, you spoke with Alayla Holman on June 5th of 2023. Is that correct?
I spoke with her, yes, and then I made face-to-face contact with her on the 7th.
And what was discussed over the phone on June 5th of 2023?
We briefly discussed the allegations, and I was told by Alayla that the fighting was not with her and her sister. And she told me that there was a get-together and there was a male present at the get-together that she was at, that as she put hands on her.
And did she claim that Josiah was not home when that incident took place?
Yes, she told me Josiah was with the babysitter.
And then when you met in person with Alayla on June 7th, did you further discuss the allegations?
We did, yes.
And what did Alayla say?
She again told me that, she was hit, that this male, as she put hands on her when they were at a get together. She spoke about, being on probation, and she knew that she was not supposed to drink alcohol or use marijuana. We discussed the conditions of her probation. She again told me that Josiah was with a babysitter. When we spoke about the concerns with domestic violence between her and Amia, she told me that they were just sister fights, and now her and her sister were getting along better.
Now, during that time frame, early in the investigation, where was Alayla living?
My understanding is she was living at several different places. The initial home, that was a concern. By the time I'd gotten out there and made contact, I was told by the members that were living in that house that Alayla was not living there.
So it looks like your June 7th in-person interview was at a grandmother's house. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then when you spoke with Alayla Holman on June 20th, 2023, where had she moved to?
She had moved to a different home with her sister.
And did she indicate which sister that was?
That was Amia Holman.
And is that the sister that was identified in law enforcement as somebody she had domestic violence with?
Yes.
Now, and as part of your investigation, did you review law enforcement reports?
I did, yes.
And did those appear to involve alcohol and domestic violence as well?
Yes.
And then fast forwarding to June 18th, 2023, you spoke with Alayla Holman again, is that correct?
On June 18th?
Oh, sorry, July 18th of 2023.
Yes, I did.
And where was Ms. Holman when you spoke with her in person?
She was at Randall County Jail. She was incarcerated.
And did you discuss the events that led to her arrest?
Yes, we did.
And what did she state?
She stated she was out at a bar for her sister Amia's birthday. She told me that she was arrested for public intoxication.
And in that conversation, did you discuss the possibility of working a family-based safety services case with her?
Yes, we did. We discussed services.
And can you explain for the court or for the record what the family-based safety services program is?
Yes. So family-based services, we typically refer parents out to services within the community. We do that to try and prevent removals. Typically, with this case, if there's a safety concern, we would ask the parent to be supervised before we can safely refer the case to services.
All right, guys, just when it seems like the court has heard the full story from the first officer, another witness enters the picture. Officer Tyson Aldridge is sworn in and begins giving his testimony. This signals that the incident being discussed may not have been isolated, and the court now wants a second perspective from another responding officer. The process might appear routine, swearing in the witness, confirming identity, and verifying credentials, but it's actually a critical step in building a clearer picture of events. When multiple officers respond to a scene, each one may notice different details. Their accounts together can either strengthen the narrative or expose contradictions, and that's exactly what the court is about to examine.
And is that the conversation you were having with Alayla, asking about possible 24-hour supervision?
Yes, that was also something that we discussed.
And did she identify potential family members for that?
She did.
Let's see. And in that conversation as well, did you ask her who the father of Josiah was?
Yes, I did.
And what was Ms. Holman's response?
She did become upset when I asked her for that information. She stood up from her chair. She still had the phone in her hand. She told me that this conversation was going to make her mad. She asked why we needed that information. And then she began screaming and crying, and she left the room.
Now, at that point, were you able to continue the conversation about a possible safety plan to help prevent removal?
No.
But even so, you did interview the parents that she had proposed. Is that correct?
I did, yes.
And were there concerns with Josiah's parents? Apologies. Were there concerns with Alayla's parents as supervisors?
Yes.
And specifically, did they have CPS history that kind of ruled them out as supervisors?
Yes, as well. They were not able to supervise 24/7 like the department was requesting.
And as well, had they bonded Alayla's sister Amaya out of jail?
Yes, they did.
And was it your understanding was that their plan was to use Amaya as Josiah's babysitter?
Yes.
And did that cause you alarm?
Yes, it did.
And so at that time, did it become your understanding that Amaya Holman was actually in possession of Josiah?
Yes, she was.
And did the department determine at that time that removal of the child was necessary?
Yes, we did.
Can you please describe the department's reasonable efforts to help prevent removal?
Yes, so that was us discussing a safety plan with Alayla. We also looked at different, we explored family options, of course, the options that she gave us. Unfortunately, at that time, we didn't feel like there was any appropriate caregiver for Josiah.
And was it necessary to remove the child due to the immediate danger of the domestic violence and alcohol situation, not only with her mother, but with her other family members?
Yes.
And a parent-child safety placement would not have been feasible and in fact was with no approved caregiver. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, Ms. Valenzuela, do you have access to your affidavit in support of removal?
I do, yes.
So at the time when removal was determined, is it correct that the department did not have the name of the alleged father yet?
At the time we filed the affidavit for removal?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, I'm looking. Right, that's correct. I have the father listed as unknown at the time that I filed the affidavit for removal.
And with an unknown father, you're not able to evaluate him as an alternative to removal. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
As well as an unknown father, you're not able to evaluate him as a placement. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the only information you had at this time was Alayla's response. Alayla's response to you asking about him. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, following the removal, you prepared an investigative report. Is that correct?
Yes.
And by that time, you had a name and Ms. Holman had given you a name. Is that correct?
I believe we were able to find the name through a child support order.
And if there were no child support orders, do you mean you would obtain the name from the Office of Attorney General?
Yes.
Okay. And you obtained contact information for him, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, when you spoke with him, what did he say in regards to whether or not he had any communication with Alayla?
Excuse me, before we go any further, can we identify who that person was, the name?
Apologies. What was the name of that person?
Alright, guys, this is where the testimony takes a much more serious turn. Officer Aldridge explains what Alila told police about the physical altercation. According to the report, she claimed she had been thrown into a wall and struck during the confrontation. Another statement suggests she was slapped across the face and even grabbed by the throat before being pushed against the wall. These aren't minor scuffles, they're allegations of direct physical violence. Hearing these details spoken calmly in court almost makes them sound less intense than they really are. But imagine the scene the officer was describing: raised voices, physical force, and a chaotic environment unfolding in a home where a young child was present. At this point, the courtroom begins seeing just how volatile that situation may have been.
I'm sorry.
What was the name of the alleged father?
Isaiah Cabello.
Okay, thank you.
And what did Mr. Cabello say about whether or not he spoke to Alayla?
He told me that he does not speak to Alayla or Josiah, and he was not sure if he was the father.
And when you explained that the department had taken custody of Josiah, how did he respond?
He again told me that, he was not sure he was the father, or that Alayla told him he wasn't the father. And so when I explained that, he was listed as a parent, he told me that he was never provided a letter from the sheriff's office, and that there had never been any DNA testing done. So I did explain to him that DNA testing was an option.
And what did he say in response to the idea of DNA testing?
He asked why DNA testing was needed if he did not want anything to do with this case.
And then you spoke with him again, let's see, on July 24th. Is that correct?
Yes.
That was 2023. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you explained to him that if he was found to be the child's father, that he would be asked to work services. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did you ask him if he wanted Josiah in his care?
I did not ask.
Okay. So if your investigative report indicates that you asked if he wanted Josiah in his care, would that be correct?
That would be correct, yes.
And if I may point you for you to refresh your memory to, let me see which page this is, to page 3, the top of page 3 of your investigative report. And for the other attorneys, this is a filing in the case that everybody should have access to, but if anybody needs me to email it to them, I can do so. Okay. Have you found that, Ms. Valenzuela?
Yes, ma'am, I'm looking at it right now.
And what was Mr. Cabello's response when you asked him if he wanted Josiah in his care?
So from what I'm looking at, he told me that he was in between places, but he would provide me with an address to send paperwork.
Okay, so he basically didn't answer whether or not he wanted Josiah. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, fast forwarding to August 2nd of 2023, you had a conversation with Josiah's foster parent. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you observe about Josiah in that conversation?
And when I spoke with the foster parent, I was told that Josiah was having...
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor, foster parent is here as a party to the case.
If she's here and available to testify, then you can answer the question.
You can answer, Ms. Valenzuela.
And that Josiah was having temper tantrums. There was a time where she tried to headbutt the foster parent when the case manager was present.
Did she also describe the child as picking at her own eyelashes, scratching her face?
Yes, and biting her nails as well.
I pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Grant.
No questions, Judge.
Ms. Lucero.
I'm sorry, Judge, one question.
Okay.
Did either parent name any preferred caregivers at the time of removal?
I believe Alayla provided an aunt.
Was that aunt investigated to your knowledge?
I'm not too sure.
Pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Lucero.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Valenzuela, so in reviewing your affidavit of removal and also the investigative report, would you agree with me that Mr. Cabello was a non-offending parent at the time of removal?
Yes.
Okay. And according to your testimony, he had advised you that he hadn't had any contact with Ms. Holman for quite a while. Isn't that true?
Yes.
And just to be clear, he had advised you that Ms. Holman had told him at one point that Josiah was not his. Is that correct?
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Oscarson.
Ms. Valenzuela, can you describe the first alleged residence of Alayla?
Unfortunately, no, ma'am, I cannot. The home members that were living in that home did not let me look at the house, so I'm not sure what the conditions were.
Your indicates that it was a shed. From outside of it, could you tell whether it was a house or a shed?
It was in the back of the house. Yes, I could tell that it was a shed from outside.
While you were involved in the investigation phase of this case, did Alayla ever have a house to your knowledge?
No.
Pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Wiggins.
And Ms. Valenzuela, where was the alleged father when you had your conversation with him?
I believe we were speaking over the phone. I did not make face-to-face contact with him.
Okay. Did he cooperate with you in trying to have face-to-face contact, or did you request that?
My first attempt was out at a house, and I was unsuccessful with that. And so thereafter, we were speaking over the phone.
Okay. And when you had that conversation with foster mom about the child having issues, you said that was late July, is that correct?
That would have been August 2nd.
August 2nd. Okay. Nothing further, Judge.
All right, any follow-ups for Ms. Valenzuela?
Your Honor, I have just one, or maybe a couple. Ms. Valenzuela, on your, let's see here, I guess it's your investigative report there on August the 2nd. You're saying Angela provided me with pictures of Josiah from the pool party she attended. Who is Angela?
That would have been the foster parent.
Okay. And do you recall that foster parent's last name? I guess because the foster parent I have listed now was Casey McDaniel. Is that a middle name for her, or do you know, or was that a different foster parent?
That would have been a different foster parent. That would have been initial. I do not recall her name, her last name.
Your Honor, that would renew my objection on the hearsay earlier as to which foster parent she was referring to in her hearsay testimony.
Which foster parent were you testifying to earlier? Ms. McDaniel or the first foster mother?
That would have been the first foster mother.
Okay, then I'll sustain the objection and I'll ignore the testimony.
Thank you.
That's all I had, Your Honor. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Well, that's all you had?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, anyone else have further questions for Ms. Valenzuela?
I do, Your Honor, Judge.
Okay, go ahead.
Did you want to go in order?
No, we don't have to go in order. I heard you first, Ms. Wiggins. Go ahead.
Okay. Ms. Valenzuela, when you become familiar with a alleged father's name, do you investigate them through CPS?
We do. We look at CPS and criminal history.
And did Isaiah have CPS history?
He did, yes.
And did he have a reason to believe, which would be a validation of abuse or neglect made by the department against him?
From what I can see here, I have been unable to determine for physical abuse.
Okay. Referring to July 21st, it says, I viewed the department history for Cabello.
Yes.
Can you review that paragraph, please?
Yes. So he was validated for neglectful supervision in July 2022.
Okay. And was
Your
that
Honor, I'm going to object to relevance to this case. That this was occurring in, I guess, 2023. So I'm going to object to relevance.
And Judge,
Overruled.
now, Ms. Valenzuela, when you consider a alleged father for potential placement, is it important to understand his past history?
Yes, it is.
And while in your investigation, he was, I guess, Ms. Lucero used the non-offending parent terminology. However, the background information of the father would determine whether or not he's a safe placement. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so had he been willing to take the child, would you still have taken in consideration his past history?
Yes.
Nothing further.
Someone else have further questions?
I have another question, Your Honor. Ms. Valenzuela, thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Valenzuela, even without the criminal history, since he wasn't the adjudicated father, could y'all have placed Isaiah with Mr. Cabello or not?
I cannot make that decision. I would have had to staff that up with my supervisor and the program director. That would have, had to be staffed all the way up given his history.
Okay. I'm not talking about his history. I'm just talking about that he wasn't the adjudicated father. He was just the alleged father at that point. Can the department place a child with an alleged father?
I do not believe so.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Anyone else? All right, then. Can Ms. Valenzuela be excused?
Before she's excused, Your Honor, I'd like to go ahead and offer some exhibits.
Okay.
The department offers petitioners exhibit number 2, and let's see, how can I abbreviate this? I don't think I can. It is a complaint against Alayla Holman in cause number 2022-5395-2 for DWI,
Objections?
certified copy.
No objection.
Objection.
Petitioner's 2 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Next, I offer petitioners exhibit number 3, the judgment related to exhibit 2, which is a judgment of conviction and a sentencing to 10 days in Randall County Jail. Again, a certified copy, and this is regarding Alayla Holman.
Objections?
No objection.
Objection.
Petitioner's 3 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. I next offer an indictment, a certified copy of an indictment, and 082875-D-CR for assault of a peace officer against Alayla Holman.
What exhibit number is it?
This one is, let me see, number 4.
Okay. Objections?
No objection.
All right. Petitioner's 4 is admitted.
I next offer petitioners exhibit number 5, an order of deferred adjudication related to number 4, with a judgment of guilt and placing her on deferred adjudication.
Objections?
No objection.
Objection.
Okay. 5 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. I next offer petitioners exhibit number 6, a motion to proceed with adjudication on that same charge.
Objections?
No objection.
No objection.
Petitioner 6 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I next offer petitioners exhibit number 7. And I believe, let's see, it starts with a warrant, but the second page is a report of probation violation.
Objections?
No objection.
No objection.
All right. Petitioner 7 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, guys, now the testimony reveals a detail that shifts the conversation in a different direction. The officer confirms that Alayla admitted she had been drinking that night. On its own, that might not seem shocking, but the court quickly calculates her age at the time of the incident. She was only 20 years old, which means she was legally under the drinking age in Texas. That revelation introduces a new layer to the situation. If multiple people at the scene had been drinking, it could explain how tensions escalated so quickly. Alcohol often lowers inhibitions and fuels arguments that spiral out of control. The court now has to consider whether intoxication played a role in turning a disagreement into a potentially dangerous confrontation.
Let me see. I next call Jenny Rankin.
Let's take about a 5-minute break before we get to our next witness.
Foster parent since 2022.
I started the process in 2022, and I think I was official in 2023.
Since your time as a foster parent, how many kids have you fostered?
I've had 5 kids in my home.
How many do you have presently?
2.
Josiah and another child?
Yes.
When did Josiah come to live with you?
In October the 2nd, I believe, October 2nd of 2023.
At that time, how old was she?
She was 2.
At the time she came to live with you in October of 23, was she receiving any services?
She was not.
Did you observe anything about Josiah that made you engage with St. Francis about getting her services?
Yeah, pretty quickly, she began having these tantrums, and I really thought at first that it was due to her lack of language. She had very few words for a 2-year-old. And so I really thought it was her inability to communicate with me. So we engaged for speech therapy.
Did she graduate from speech therapy?
She has.
Did she also go to behavioral therapy, or does she still?
She currently does behavior therapy, yes.
Is that with Ms. Henders?
That's not with Ms. Henders. That one is through Arrow Ministries. Our therapist's name's Logan.
Okay. Does she do occupational therapy?
Yes, she gets occupational therapy right now.
Is that with Care Options for Kids?
Yes.
And are they seeing her and helping her with sensory and fine motor skill impairments?
Yes.
So has there been some question regarding which professional you see as to whether she may or may not have autism?
Yes.
What is the opinion of some of the professionals?
The first person we saw diagnosed her with autism. And then the The second evaluation, which was not in person, it was over Zoom, said, I believe it was they can't rule it out, but they can't say that she does have it. They added a trauma-specific diagnosis saying that a lot of her issues were triggered by trauma.
And does she see Balfour Optical for issues related to a lazy eye?
Yes.
What is the treatment that they have prescribed?
Glasses, consistent wearing of glasses. They originally told us that they were going to try the glasses. If she was consistent about it, they were hopeful that that would make a correction and would prevent a surgery. We went back, I think maybe 3 months later, and they said that the glasses were helping and that to continue those and follow up.
Is Josiah on prescription medication?
She is.
What is she on?
She takes Clonidine. It's for sleep. And then so she takes that in the evenings, and then in the mornings she takes prescription wise. It's the off brand of Zoloft for anxiety.
Your Honor, we'll offer at this time Intervenors Exhibit 1, which is the child's records with Balfour Optical.
All right. I guess we better just make sure it's clear. Let's call it foster mothers 1.
Okay.
We get kind of confused when we got mother and foster mother. All right. Any objections to 1 for the foster mother?
No objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Respondent foster mother's Exhibit 1 is admitted.
We offer Foster Mothers 2, which is the business records and affidavit from Wright Family Medical, which is the child's medical provider.
Objections?
No objection.
No objection.
All right. Respondent foster mothers 2 is admitted.
We offer Foster Mothers 3, which is the affidavit and business records from Amarillo Stat Care, which is another of the child's medical providers.
Objections?
No objection.
No objection.
Okay. Respondent foster mothers 3 is admitted.
We offer Foster Mother 4, which is the affidavit and business records from Care Options for Kids, which is the child's occupational therapy records.
Objections?
No objection.
No objection.
Respondent foster mother number 4 is admitted.
We offer Foster Mothers Exhibit 5, which is the affidavit and business records from Children's Healthcare Associates, another of the child's medical providers.
Objections? All
No
right.
objection.
No objection.
Respondent foster mothers 5 is admitted.
We offer Foster Mother 6, which is the affidavit and business records from Green Apple Therapy Records, which provided the child with speech therapy.
All right. Objections?
No objection.
No objection.
All right. Respondent foster mother 6 is admitted.
We offer Foster Mother 16, which is the affidavit and business records from Stonebridge, which provided the child with a psychological evaluation.
Objections?
No objection.
All right. Respondent foster mother 16 is admitted.
We offer Foster Mother 17, which is the records from Arrow Child and Family Ministries, which provided the child with therapy.
All right. Objections?
No objection.
All right.
No objection.
Foster mother 17 is admitted.
All right, Ms. McDaniel, I'd like to talk now about Alayla, the biological mother's visits with Josiah. Do you often take Josiah to those visits?
Yes, I think I've taken her to all but maybe 2 or 3.
Have there been concerns with Alayla not showing up?
Yes, often.
All right, guys, the focus of the case now shifts away from the adults and onto the person most affected by everything, the child. A licensed therapist takes the stand and begins describing her sessions with Josiah. According to her testimony, the child showed intense
Objections?
anxiety, difficulty separating
No
from
objection.
caregivers, and even behaviors that
Foster
included
mother's
hitting
twos
herself during emotional
We offer
distress.
foster mother
These aren't
3,
typical
which is the
reactions you would
affidavit and
expect
business
from a
records from
child that
Amarillo
young.
Stat
The
Care.
therapist
This is another
explains
of the
that such
child's
patterns
medical
can often
providers.
be linked to developmental trauma, something that happens when a child experiences instability, fear, or neglect during their earliest years. What's striking here is how calmly the therapist presents these observations, yet the meaning behind them is powerful. The child's behavior may be telling a story that words cannot.
How does Josiah react when Alayla does not show up for a visit?
She's confused. A lot of it, we often meet at a park, and so it's distressing to her that she doesn't get to go play at the park. Most of those visits are, we show up and we don't have to wait long. There's been times though that we've been asked to wait for 45 minutes in the car, which is hard to get a 3-year-old to do, and resulted in an hour-long screaming, crying. She will often say like, well, she was promised pizza or candy at the last visit, and why isn't she getting it at this visit? That sort of thing.
So is it your understanding that Alayla has promised things to Josiah and then doesn't follow through?
Yes.
Has Alayla been late to visits?
Often.
How does Josiah react when she's required to wait on Alayla?
It's hard. She's very upset. She's a busy girl, so she likes to get going, and she doesn't understand why she has to wait. I do the best to occupy her time. We bring activities in the car, things like that, but it's hard in the car. So it's distressing to her.
Have you heard Alayla call Josiah names?
Yes.
What have you heard Alayla call Josiah?
I've heard her call her fat girl. As she was putting her in my car, I have heard her refer to her as a nerd with the glasses. I've heard fat girls a couple of times.
Has Alayla been ugly to you in front of Josiah?
Yes. The second visit we had, I went to pick Josiah up, and Josiah saw me. She called me mom, and that was upsetting to Alayla, and it resulted in her yelling and cussing at me across a parking lot in the St. Francis office.
How did Josiah react to that?
She was crying. She didn't understand. I was trying to console her. Her mom had brought her like a stuffed animal and a blanket, and then when the mom comment was said, Alayla said, well, I guess I'm not going to give you these presents if I'm not your mom. And then that was upsetting. So Josiah was crying some more, and she just kept screaming, hold me to me. And I was trying to not overstep and allow her to say goodbye to her mom. And it was distressful to her.
Do you recall in October of 23, Alayla being arrested at a visit?
Yes, that was the first visit we had since Josiah was placed in my care. We were at the St. Francis office, and I was sent a text and asked to come inside and get her earlier than the visit was supposed to end. And so I came inside, and there were cops in the waiting room. And so I just took a seat in the waiting room. The cops were there to arrest Alayla, and then Alayla called some friends into the office. Alayla and the friends began having a screaming match with the officers, to the point where the St. Francis workers came out into the lobby and removed myself and my other foster child into a safe area back in the offices. And I continued to say, Josiah is standing in the middle out there of that. And she was just standing in the middle of the altercation between the cops and mom and friends, crying and screaming. And I personally felt like she was unsafe.
Have you observed pictures of Alayla at a bar?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor. I'm gonna say that those are probably from social media and not authenticated.
Sustained.
Have you kept track of every visit that mom was offered versus every visit that she attended?
Yes.
Did you do the calculation and determine what percentage of time mom actually took advantage of her allowed visitation?
Yes.
What did you determine?
It was like less than 40% of the time. I think had she have gotten visits, weekly from the beginning of this case, she took
Objection, this is speculation from this point forward in the answer.
Sustained.
Have you ever taken Josiah to have a visit with Isaiah, the biological father?
No.
When is the last visit that Josiah had with Alayla?
I believe it was the last week in October, maybe like it could have been like November 1st, 2nd, somewhere around there, but it was over 2 months ago.
Has Josiah asked for Alayla since then?
No.
When you mentioned when Josiah came to live with you that you felt like that she didn't have very many words for a 2-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
How is she doing today?
She talks 24/7. She had, gosh, probably, I mean, she wasn't putting 2 words together, and that's definitely something a 2-year-old should be doing. And she speaks in full sentences. She communicates, very effectively. Oftentimes, she'll tell you if she doesn't like something, but she definitely is able to communicate now.
How is she doing with the tantrums and handling her emotions?
It's hit and miss. I feel like she hasn't had a fair shot at normalcy yet, but she has improved. She still lashes out. I would say that the tantrums are definitely less frequent. They are not as easily triggered. But when she does get upset, we still have issues with her. She bites herself quite frequently. I get calls from the daycare that and notes sent home that she's bit herself when she's upset there as well. She hits and kicks, pinches, bites. We get sent home from daycare sometimes. But overall, I'm seeing progress in her.
Have you been able to make a determination as to whether Josiah does better with frequent contact with mom or does better when mom has gone away, either in jail or just disappeared? Is there any relation to Josiah's behavior?
Objection, calls for speculation and a professional opinion. She's not an expert.
Overruled. She can comment on what she sees.
I see that Josiah does better with consistency. And so there was a very short period where visits with mom were consistent and she was okay. They quickly became inconsistent, and she does worse when she's having those inconsistent visits.
Have you observed that it is better or worse for Josiah to be on a schedule?
100% better. We have a schedule that we put on our refrigerator at home with pictures that she sees. This is what we're going to do. This is what's next. In the evening, we talk about here's what the day tomorrow is going to look like. We pre-talk, here's what we're going to do next, or there's 10 minutes until we stop this activity, because she is very insecure and anxious about change.
There was some talk with Ms. Henders about food anxiety. Mm-hmm. Have you observed anything like that in your home?
Absolutely. When she first came to me, it was like she could not get enough food in her body. I mean, anything and everything, it was like shoveling into her mouth. As we've progressed, she's gotten to the point where she can kind of distinguish a little bit between food she likes and doesn't like, because she knows there's going to be foods that she likes. She still struggles with it. She wants to know that it's available 24/7. We have a drawer in our refrigerator that is free access. She can at any time go get a snack out of that. You know, they're the healthier snacks, that sort of thing. But even if I might say, you can't have your ice cream until you eat your dinner tonight, that's a huge struggle for her that causes major out of control meltdowns. I'm talking like sometimes 2-hour long meltdowns.
And when was the most recent 2-hour meltdown?
It was prior to us starting behavior therapy. She's been pretty successful in that. A couple months ago, I would say that there was a point where she was gagging and like throwing up on herself because she was so upset and couldn't get herself under control.
What kind of things does Josiah enjoy doing today?
She is in gymnastics, which she loves. She got a gymnastics bar for Christmas, so she flips around our house on it all the time. She also takes ballet, and she likes playing outside. The girl would be outside 24/7 if she could. She enjoys, we go to church quite frequently, and she enjoys her group of friends there that she likes to play with. And she likes school as well. When she can, when her behavior is managed, she does really well at school too. She enjoys her friends.
Did she get to play in the snow last week?
She did. She's told me she wanted to build a snowman, so we went out there and I got about a fourth of it built and she knocked it over.
That's about right for 3.
Mm-hmm.
There was some testimony by Ms. Tennyson about some Teams or FaceTime visits. Did you coordinate or cooperate to get those set up?
Absolutely, yeah.
Did you observe the visits?
Yes.
Let's talk about the first one. How long was the visit?
38 minutes, I believe.
Okay. What portion of that was Josiah involved?
5 to 8 minutes, maybe.
What was Josiah doing?
We were sitting at the kitchen counter. I think she was eating something at the time, so I could that's about how I can get her to focus for that long.
You said Josiah was involved for a few minutes, what was the rest of the time?
The rest of the time, Miss Tennyson was talking to me.
What was she saying?
She had questions about the case, which I was told not to, I couldn't release any information about the case really, but she had questions about what my intention in the case were. I reported to St. Francis, not that Ebony and I get along great. We're friendly with each other. I reported that she's friendly and she's kind. I guess my concern was just that, Longer was spent talking to me than Josiah. And she over and over just expressed that kind of in a roundabout way, she would like to be adoptive placement and instead of me.
Have you FaceTimed with any other of Josiah's biological relatives?
One of Josiah's cousins, who was also in the foster care system, lived with us for a while. And then she's since aged out of the foster care system. So we remain in contact with her. We FaceTime. She came over 2 weekends ago for our little Christmas get together. So we talk to her often as well.
What is your intention with Josiah?
I would like to adopt her and raise her. I don't have any intention to, keep her away from her biological family. I want her to know that she's adopted, know who her family is, have a fair opportunity to explore that when she's older if she would like. And I want her family that's healthy and a good impact on her to be a part of her life.
Do you love her?
More than anything in the world.
Based on your observations, does she love you?
Yes.
Are you asking that the court order that Josiah not be moved out of your home without a hearing?
Yes.
Why?
I think that would be number one, detrimental to Josiah, for her to have to move very quickly and unexpectedly. And I know there's a home study out that I just have seen kids be moved in the past quite abruptly that I think would literally cause so much trauma on Josiah that I don't know that she'd recover.
Based on your observations with Alayla, is it your opinion that she's in a position to parent Josiah?
No.
And have you ever even met Mr. Cabello?
No.
Pass the witness.
All right, thank you, Ms. Gutierrez.
No questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Lucero.
I just have a couple, Your Honor.
Okay.
Ms. McDaniel, whenever you stated that the mother was arrested at that visit in October of 2023, that's what you said, correct? That was the date?
Yes.
Okay. At the time that the police showed up, was the mother actually visiting with Josiah?
Yes.
Okay. So they just showed up out of the blue as far as you know?
I believe St. Francis contacted them.
Okay. To let them know that Ms. Holman was there at the office?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to speculation
I don't know.
unless Ms. Oscarson has personal knowledge of that.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes, Your Honor, I apologize, Ms. McDaniel.
Yeah, sustained unless she has personal knowledge.
Okay. And remind me again, Ms. McDaniel, what was the last visit that Ms. Holman had with Josiah?
It was very end of October, very beginning of November, sometime around there.
Okay. And even though she hadn't had contact for a while with her mom, she still has meltdowns sometimes, or I guess behavioral issues at daycare, you stated?
Occasionally. I would say less frequently, but yeah, occasionally.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
All right, thank you. Ms. Wiggins.
I have no questions.
All right. Anyone have follow-ups for Ms. McDaniel?
Judge, may I have
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms.
couple
Grant.
questions?
I left
That's
you out.
okay.
Sorry.
Very briefly, Judge.
Uh-huh.
Ms. McDaniel, are you testifying that it's a problem both if the mother visits and if she doesn't show up, they both cause issues?
Can you say that again?
Is it your opinion that both the mother showing up for a visit and the mother not showing up for a visit both cause individual issues with the child?
Showing up for the visits and making promises that she can't keep causes problems, and then saying that she's going to show up and then not being there causes problems. When when they're not visiting, I just don't tell Josiah that we're having visits, and she doesn't know any different.
Okay. And how did you become aware that St. Francis contacted the police as you testified? How did you get that information?
I honestly don't even, I don't know, maybe.
Don't, ma'am,
I don't know.
Excuse me, don't
I don't
speculate.
remember.
If you don't know,
That's okay.
a good answer.
I don't remember.
Did you witness the arrest?
I witnessed, I guess it was the arrest, because they escorted mom. They asked us to stay inside. Once the situation calmed down, they got the friends to leave. They got Josiah back in the office area with me, and then the police escorted mom outside, which later resulted in her arrest. So they asked us to stay inside, I guess, until mom was off the premises.
Do you have any personal knowledge of why she was arrested?
No.
And did she have any visits after that date that you took the child to?
Oh yes. Yeah. Well, yes, she was arrested, spent time in jail, and then once she was released from jail, had visits.
Okay. And as far as the visits at the park, were you required to stay in the car since you were not actually an attendee of the visits? Is that why the child had to remain in the vehicle for so long?
So it's kind of unclear. I at first, when visits after the visit where she was yelling and cussing at me across the parking lot, I was asked to come to the back of St. Francis, and the St. Francis worker would come out to my car and get her, so I wouldn't have contact with mom. So for a good extended period of time, the visits were working that way. Once I guess St. Francis deemed that she could go somewhere other than the office, and we started doing the park. I guess I just continued that and assumed that that's what I was supposed to do. There on the time that we were in the car for 45 minutes waiting, I had gotten out of the car at one point and walked
And
over.
I can probably clear up what I'm getting at, ma'am, to shorten this. Was someone else monitoring the visits at the park, or was that your responsibility?
Oh no, there was a St. Francis worker monitoring.
Pass the witness, Judge.
All right. Anyone else have further questions for Ms. McDaniel?
I do have a few questions for Ms. McDaniel.
Okay.
Ms. McDaniel, have you viewed a social media profile? Oh, I apologize, Your Honor. That's a reminder. I'll turn that off. Have you reviewed a social media profile that you believe belongs to Layla Holman?
Objection to any introduction of a social media profile that's unauthenticated, Your Honor.
We're not there yet. I'll let her go a little further.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you please answer the question, Ms. McDaniel?
Yes, I have.
What social media platform is that profile on?
Facebook.
And what leads you to believe that that is her social media page?
Pictures of her, and then she live streams on it where she's like actively at that time saying, it's her talking at that moment.
And are there pictures?
Judge, I want to renew my objection as to authentication of actually who it is. It's a post on a website that's publicly viewable and possibly publicly accessible or hackable.
Ms. Grant, I know where you're going. I'm going to let him get there. I'm not going to let her testify to what she's seen.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
I'm letting Ms. Gutierrez make a record if she wants, but I'm not going to hear anything that she's seen unless Ms. Holman is here to say that is my Facebook page.
Your Honor, then I ask the court to take judicial notice of the seminal case of Danda versus State, and I can send that by email to everybody if the court wishes me to do so.
I don't need to see it.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. I believe in that case, it does note that it doesn't need to prove beyond a doubt that that profile belongs to that person, but it should have indications that it does belong to that person. And things like pictures, comments, or things like commentary on events in that person's specific life are considered proof of authenticating that profile.
Okay. I'll let you make your record however you want, but I'm not going to allow the actual what she's seen or heard in.
Ms. McDaniel, on that social media profile, are there pictures of Josiah that look recent?
Yes.
Objection, Your Honor. That's testimony as to something she saw.
Yeah, this has gone far enough. I don't want to hear any more about that Facebook page.
I pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right. Now, anyone else have further questions for Ms. McDaniel?
Your Honor, I just have one question.
Okay.
Ms. McDaniel, who asked you to monitor any computer systems or social media for the mother in this case, if anyone?
Nobody.
Pass the witness, Judge.
Okay. Anyone else?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, then, Ms. Oscarson, did you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, we rest.
All right, everyone rest and close.
I would like to make a closing.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll keep it brief. Your Honor, we are asking for termination grounds against Ms. Holman of her parental rights to the child Josiah based on Texas Family Code grounds for D, E, and O. We are also asking for termination grounds on Isaiah Cabello based on the determination grounds of O for failure to complete the service plan and constructive abandonment, as well as Q. Your Honor, we do believe that our exhibits 16 and 17 do establish that that we've met the requirement to show that criminal conduct and the confinement of up to 2 years. I've also circulated a case to the court and request judicial notice of it. I believe it's in Re MAH. It's a January 2024 memorandum opinion out of our 7th Court of Appeals that has a discussion of whether or not it's appropriate for the court to look at and consider things like probation or parole versus the date that it appears to more depend on of the maximum sentence date. So, and Your Honor, to summarize, I believe that case says, unless you've got some more solid evidence than just speculation about parole or projected release, you should depend on the amount of years that the judgment indicates. And I believe those judgments indicate past 2 years. We also ask for findings of reasonable efforts to reunify the family, specifically for both parents, on the mother for creating the family plan of service, for attempting to aid her with housing, for attempting to maintain communication with her, as well as facilitating visitation and trying to help her complete that service plan through transportation and referrals. In regards to the father, Isaiah Cabello, we also ask for a finding of reasonable efforts to reunify in creating his family plan of service and requesting genetic testing to help him meet the requirements to start visitation. Our attempts to locate him, creating the family plan of service, referring a courtesy worker to visit him each month while incarcerated, as well as sending him monthly updates, inquiring about services, and requesting an ICPC home study on the paternal grandmother.
Right. Okay, I will make all the findings you requested as far as the efforts to reunify. You said you disseminated a case to me. How'd you get it to me?
I just emailed that case, Your Honor. I'm anticipating an objection from Ms. Lucero. With much respect to Ms. Lucero, I do anticipate an objection from her. And I wanted the judge to have a case before it that clarified the issue of it being sufficient and appropriate to depend on the years that the judgment sentences.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there, but I'm looking at my emails. I don't have an email from you.
I sent it to Brittany. She might
Okay.
not send it to you.
Okay. For future reference, if it's something that we're in the middle of the trial, don't send it to Brittany. Send it directly to me.
Yes, Your Honor. Would you like me to do that now?
No, I'm in agreement with you as to what the case says. I've read, I don't know if it's the same case. I've read several cases on that very same subject. So, okay, then, Ms. Wiggins, your recommendation.
I do believe it's in the child's best interest that both the father and the mother's rights are terminated. I believe placement should be continued, and the child should not be moved until further court order. Also, with these visitations, I don't believe they should be supervised by placement if they continue with the grandmother.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I make one request if the court deems
Yeah,
appropriate?
let me take, before I forget this. Ms. McDaniel, when Ms. Tennyson's had visits, was it only you? There wasn't anybody from St. Francis or the department present?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Give me a minute, Ms. Grant.
Your
Yes,
Honor,
Judge.
I have a response to that request as well.
Give me a minute. Okay, a response.
Yes, Your Honor, we are asking, well, let me start off with this. We stipulate that St. Francis will supervise those visits as opposed to placement. And with that, we ask Ms. Wiggins to withdraw her request that it be ordered for St. Francis to do so at this time. The reason is it is a final order, Your Honor. And if the court makes an order regarding grandmother's visitation, that becomes a fairly permanent order that would survive even adoption. Considering the court's expresses expression earlier in this hearing that you were not going to take that issue up of grandmother's visitation or placement. We request that the court not make any orders regarding the grandmother's visitation at this time.
All right, I'll meet you halfway on that. Okay, then, based on the evidence I've heard today, I do.
Your Honor, may I make one request?
One more, that's it.